Hey, Chloe, tell people what they can expect from your movie, Two Woman.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're gonna laugh because it's a comedy. It's a feel-good movie, so hopefully that's one thing. But Two Women is about, characters that are we're starting the film and they're kind of disconnected from themselves, their desires. And at one point they need to face that in the film and they'll do it in a funny way. But maybe people after the film will feel less guilty of I don't know of I think we need to accept that sometimes life is not a straight line in a way. So I think when you get out of the theater, you might just feel some relief maybe for seeing characters that, struggle just like we do. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Would you call this a sex comedy or a romantic comedy? And what do you think the difference is?
Um to me it's a dramedy even because there's a bit of drama in the film. I think we're talking about serious subject through a funny, perspective for sure. Um, there's a bit of romantic comedy there for sure. Sex, yeah, but sex in the film is mostly like, how can I say? It's talking about the interiority of the characters. Like like I said, I think they're lacking connection. So sex is a way to get to know themselves better. So it's not just a sex joke. I think sex is really a great meaning for them to really reconnect. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We've cleared that up. How would you characterize the state of Quebec filmmaking in May 2025?
The state, well, we have great filmmakers, in Quebec. I think the film industry is going great. A lot of films have been, in the festival circuits in these last few years. It's fun also to see a lot of female filmmakers from Quebec having great success. I'm thinking about Monia Chokri, Sophie Dupuis, Sophie de Raspe, Anne Aymon was in Cannes last week. So I'm very proud, yeah, to be a Quebec filmmaker for sure.
Great. Yeah, that's good to know. And which Quebec director who is currently working inspires you the most today?
Ooh, well, that's a good question because there are just so many of them. Um, Well, Manya Chakri, I really like her freedom. She's not afraid of being herself, and that's really an inspiration in that sense for me. She's bold. My cinema is kind of very different, but still, I think it's what she inspires in me. The fact that she's just so strong. So that's one. But I also really like the cinema of Philippe Falardeau, who's really into like characters, and it's more I would say he's an introvert just like me, and I can relate to his cinema in that sense. Yeah.
All right, great. And tell me about Two Women in Gold and how it influenced this film.
Yeah, because what people need to know is that Two Women in Gold was a cult film in the 1970 in Quebec. Actually, it was the biggest box office for 30 years in Quebec. That's what I just learned today. Um, so yeah, and it was about two housewives, and they were kind of stuck in their homes, and they started planning, flirting with the Hydro-Quebec guy and the milk guy and starting having affairs like that. At that time, it made a big splash, like I said, but it was also very shocking for people to see so much nudity. There was a lot of frontal nudity in that film. So people were really talking about that for sure at that time. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And sometimes I feel maybe in Hollywood or maybe just Anglo culture in general, it could be a little prudish. And that's not the case in Quebec. Would you agree? Or in parts of Europe?
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I've been working in English Canada in TV, and I'm obviously working in Quebec too, and I can feel the difference. I don't know why exactly. It's more conservative in the way we represent sexuality, for sure. maybe it's because of our ties with Europe. Maybe that's why we have a really auteur cinéma also in Quebec. We feel a lot of freedom to express ourselves. We were encouraged to take risk also in the Quebec industry. Maybe that's part of the answer. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I guess. But speaking of Hollywood movies and sex comedies, I really liked Red Rocket by Sean Baker, and I was wondering if you saw that movie and if you liked it, or if,
I didn't see it, but
oh,
I love his work, but I didn't see it this one. But yeah, he really has an interesting take on sexuality, that's for sure. Yeah.
definitely. All right. What do you going back to the prudishness, I guess? Would you say this is just depicting unfaithfulness, or is it defending it, or is it just, this is life, or how do you explain that quality?
There's no moral in the film. We're not saying that you should be on in a polygamous relationship or you should have affair. Actually, you can also see the consequences of the affairs in the film. So, people will make their minds after the film, and that's okay. I don't want to impose anything. But the film really say that life is, like I said, life is not just that straight line. We do feel bumps, and when you're in a long-term relationship, there will be some complexities. And can we just assume that? Can we feel less guilty? It's hard to have desires for one person in your entire life, and can we just accept that? We don't, like I said, we're not saying go flirt with the plumber, but the film maybe encourage you to listen more to yourself and to speak more actually about your desires. That would be maybe the only objective that I could see. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And please tell people about your scriptwriter.
Yeah, so the film was written by Catherine Léger. She's an amazing playwright from Montreal and screenwriter. Um, she has a very unique tone. It's a really amazing fine line between comedy and drama, and she has a great sense for the dialogues, very funny dialogues. But again, with a lot of depth too. And so the idea of adapting the film was really coming from Catherine. Um, and she approached me 5 years ago, and I started, working with her to get that into a film.
Nice. I like that. I like the depth.
Yeah, yeah, because a comedy can have that, sometimes we talk about comedy like if it's just a joke, but I think comedy is a great way actually to open minds, open hearts. It's easier for people, I think, when you're not too like in your face drama, this is what you should think. But with comedy, I think it opens things in a more, I don't know, gentle way, I would say.
Yeah, there's truth and insight to a good joke.
Absolutely. I think the best jokes are the one that have some truth, like you said. Yeah.
Beautiful. And what was I maybe you already answered this, but what was the most appealing thing about the script on your first read of it?
The dialogues, for me was like I had never seen something like that. It was just perfection. And I knew I had like something really precious in my hands when I read it. I knew I needed to give it my 100%, if not more. And I would say that everyone in that team, when they first read the script, they called me and said the same. This is special. They knew we had something special, and we just wanted to do our best.
Great. And tell people about your actors.
Yeah. So the two women are portrayed by Laurence Leboeuf. She's well known actually in English Canada because she's been like in shows like Transplant. And Karine Gontier-Heinemann. Um, and I went through a kind of a big audition process. But when I saw both of them, their comedic timing was just so perfect, and I like strength, but also vulnerability. There was something just, I don't know, just mysterious too about them that I really enjoyed. And I did an edit actually with both their audition just to see the chemistry. It was like a chemistry test, and it was just incredible. And they were not even in the same room, it was just an edit. So that was interesting to do.
Well, that's pretty cool. And what about your editor or your cinematographer? Tell people about your other key team members.
Yeah, I worked with Sarah Mishara as a DP, and Sarah is just, I think she's probably the best cinematographer we have in Canada. I'm a huge fan. And so we talked a lot together, and the first thing that came to mind for both of us is that we wanted to film in 35 because it would bring such a cinematic quality to the film since the film is so much, in between walls, in small rooms, interiors. So, but it would also give some nostalgia to the film, the fact that it was in 35, and there's nothing better than 35 for lights and colors too. So, she really did a fantastic job. And the editor, actually, Mathieu Bouchard, it's his first feature, but Mathieu has been working, I don't know, for the last 20 years in TV and doing a lot of comedy shows. And I really wanted to have someone that had this like sense for timing. So I approached him, and I said, you want to get on board, and I would like to do some scenes. I would like to add some of myself in the edit. So I co-edited with him, but yeah, but he mostly did the whole thing, but I had some pieces here and there. Yeah.
That's cool. And did you kind of, well, first I want to say thanks for shooting on film.
Mhm.
Most people don't do that, and I appreciate you for doing that a lot. And with the edit, were you hands on the whole time, or did you kind of walk away for like a week or something?
For the edit, it took like I don't know a few months to edit in the studio at Mel's studio in Montreal. So it's funny because it's the only time in my life where I do 9 to 5 hours from Monday to Friday. So it's fun to have that kind of normal life for a few months where I just, yeah, live like everybody else for a few months.
That's funny. And did you make some changes to the script? Some key changes or little tweaks?
Little tweaks, but I really wanted to be respectful of Catherine's work. So the changes that we did were before filming. Like if I would say if I didn't like a scene, I would try to explain before and we would adjust. It was mostly to adjust the tone of the film so it wasn't too burlesque or too like hysterically funny in a weird way. Just trying to normalize the tone of the film. That's mostly what we did together. But when we started filming, we had the same vision on the script, and there were no gray zones for us. Yeah.
Nice. Well, when I popped on the screener, I had a great time. I really enjoyed myself. I had a lot of laughs, and we've been saying, there's depth and truth to it, and that's why it works. And it's relaxing. It's enjoyable. Tell me how people reacted to it on the festival circuit.
Well, the premiere was at Sundance
Yeah.
in January. It was awesome. People laughing so much. Because at first I was anxious. I was like, oh, they need to read subtitles, and there's a lot of cultural references in the film. But they were laughing, they were engaging in the film. And we even won a prize. We actually won a jury prize at Sundance. So it's been quite a ride since then, doing festivals. Selling the film to the States, France, many territories. So it's just joy, pure joy right now for the film. Yeah.
No, it's very exciting. Can you name drop? Did you meet some cool people at Sundance?
Not there was just so much press to do. It was just so intense that I saw Conan O'Brien. I did see Conan O'Brien though. But I no not that much. I was mostly in rooms doing press.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there a final thought you want to end this interview with?
Well, hopefully people will go see it in theaters, because I think it's a film that was made for theaters. So yeah, please come and have a laugh with us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for your time.
Bye.